Well, hello everyone, and happy Saturday, and welcome to episode 1 of RNG Creator Spotlight. And joining me is fellow Illinois boys, Mr. Frog Tony himself. How you doing, sir?
What's up? What's going on?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Another hot day over here in Illinois, but at least inside is nice and cool. And yeah, I can't wait to just sit down and finally talk to you. I've known about you for quite some time. I've been kind of following all this Comicsgate stuff for a while, biggest problem in the universe, and I heard about you. You're kind of infamous with some of my friends, as we talked about prior to this, with some sparring online. But as I started to listen to more of your shows and everything else like that, I found that you're just a regular chill guy for the most part, and you know a lot of stuff about a lot of people that I never knew about. I'm learning so much about like the Amico and a lot of other things too, and I think your gaming takes are pretty cool too. So I wanted to have you on and just have a nice, fun conversation, spotlight you, and kind of pick your brain about some stuff. So I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. I know you got a show right after this, so let's get right to this. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Like I said, just relaxing, chilling on a nice Saturday. I'm always willing to take my time to talk to anyone who wants to interview me or promote me or just tell me how nice and cool I am. I mean, it's a fantastic thing when people tell you how awesome you are. So if you want to do that at any point in this interview, Carl, just feel free to go ahead and let me know that I'm the number one guy in your life.
Oh, well, right now you are the number one guy in my life because you're taking time to hang out with me, and that is awesome. So you are an awesome guy for that. But enough dick fluffing here. I'd like to ask you something here, very simple. What got
Oh,
you into basically like all your hobbies? You seem to be like a very, eclectic kind of guy. Comic books, video games, wrestling, a lot of the stuff I think, because you're a little bit older than me, if I recall, was kind of frowned upon kind of a little bit back in the day. Were you kind of like a little bit bullied for all this stuff, or were you just always kind of like just a cool as a cucumber guy, didn't give a fuck?
Um, well, all my interests, my hobbies, everything stems from my father. He always played video games, despite not. So obviously, I'm Mexican. I'm a Mexican guy. My father's also Mexican. We come from a predominantly Mexican area of Illinois, Chicago, little village, right?
Mm.
So I'm saying that to say that even though he was a loud and from rambunctious youth. He still enjoyed video games and things like that, and he passed those interests on to us. I have a brother, so that between the three of us, we'd always play video games. We had a ColecoVision growing up,
Mm.
so we played that. He always bought us, toys and things. We used to rent old Marvel like 70s cartoons. He used to always rent those. Like, oh, look, you gotta check these out. These are awesome. So he got us into, Marvel, into video games, and then we started watch wrestling with the family. So we got into that. So all of my hobbies and everything is my father's fault. So if anybody, is to blame, it's him, definitely.
Well, from doing a lot of these interviews, it always seems that the father usually has been like a big inspiration, or at least another parent too. Sometimes the mother, ironically enough, the grandmother and grandfather have played a few parts every now and then, but it does always seem to like be a thing where it's like the father just is like, I just want a little wingman to play something with, and usually that's what happens.
I think my father used it as more of an excuse. Like he was into these things, right? And like you said, it really wasn't cool. But if he was like, "Oh, look, I bought the Atari for the kids. I bought the Coleco for the kids. I don't like playing with these Spider-Man toys. I bought them for the children." I think that's what it was. And I carried on that tradition with my kid, where I would buy things where like, "Oh man, I really want this," but the old lady wouldn't want me spending money on this for myself, so I just blame it on the kid. Oh, I bought this for the kid, right? I didn't want the PlayStation 3. I got it for the child. The child needed it.
Yeah, it's that one meme that was online where it's like the dude playing with like a Star Wars ship, and the wife's friend's like, he's a fucking loser, and then he pokes holes into condoms and then has a kid. He's like, he's a great dad.
Yeah, yes. Essentially that. Yeah, except for I didn't poke any holes. I just pulled the goalie.
So, obviously, you said the ColecoVision was like one of your first video game out there. So, like, what are your favorite video games of all time, and like your favorite consoles and stuff like that?
Ooh. This is a question that gets asked a lot to me over the years, and the answer usually changes because I'm not someone who's really like nostalgia blinded, right? I'm like, oh man, give me a old ColecoVision with a CRTV and I'll be in heaven. I'm like, no, that stuff's outdated. I don't particularly have any need to play that anymore, right? Like, so
Yeah.
you know, 30 years ago, you would ask me, I would have been like, oh yeah, I love Nintendo. It's the greatest thing. Super Nintendo probably is my favorite console of all time, just because it had so many bangers and they do hold up. The pixel art, regardless of what people think, pixel art holds up a lot better than like your early PlayStation games. The 3D stuff.
Yeah.
Cool pixel art, side scrolling, beat 'em ups and platformers. Those hold up really well, especially on the Super Nintendo. So if I had to pick like what was my favorite growing up, it's probably Super Nintendo. Right now, I'm playing the PlayStation 5. I'm just loving everything I play on that. As far as a favorite game, again, it's the same thing. It's really hard to pinpoint. Stardew Valley, I love that. I
Mm.
can play that. But I also have a slight bit of tism. So there's a couple of games that are like management sims, and it's just a bunch of numbers. It's basically a spreadsheet of numbers, and you do things and numbers go up, and it makes me feel so good inside because like, oh, I made number go up arbitrarily by pushing. It's fantastic.
Right on, right on. Yeah, I do agree with you. Especially when I started doing this podcast just a little bit over a year ago. Well, when I started my channel proper, I do think a lot of people have those rose tinted glasses kind of welded onto their faces sometimes too, because I think sometimes when we're in a space like this where people kind of get into like the whole like online sphere, as you've seen with things like Comicsgate and other things, people have a tendency to overanalyze, what a YouTuber says to them. I kind of come up with the term where it's like sorrow slop, where every day they just turn on like what insert YouTuber, one that we both mutually hate, the Quartering. Like they'll put on someone like the Quartering, and then all of a sudden like they're just getting all these like regurgitated, nothing empty calorie points, and they just kind of go and just repeat them. And I'm kind of like with you, my first video game consoles, you know, I was born in 91, but my brother, he's 20 years older than me, so he was born in 71. So I played,
Damn.
yeah. And my sister's 10 years older than me. We're perfectly spaced out. My mom planned it, I guess. But as I was saying, I had his older consoles, and I kind of grew up playing like a little bit of the Atari, a little bit of the NES. I never had a Super NES or a Genesis, but I started mostly with like the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64. And you know, when you go back and play some of those older games, they don't hold up like you remember them. They were products of their time, but it doesn't necessarily mean that like you were saying that like everything was rose tinted glasses. Like a lot of the artwork from back in the day was also really good. I think a lot of people who really like Pokemon, like me, also like to point out that Pokemon really lost something when they went from the pixelized and the sprites to the whole 3D models as well.
Lost that charm.
Yeah. Yeah, just lost that a little bit of that like special charm. And like you said, with some really great games that also spawned from that generation too, Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, a lot of JRPGs that a lot of people like started out in those early generations that have, evolved, changed, and grown, with every generation too. So you can kind of look back on those days as well and say, well, if it wasn't for a lot of those, original devs and original artwork, we wouldn't have, the games we do today.
Also, we could blame them for Fortnite. Definitely.
Yeah, we could blame a lot of people for. We can actually blame Gears of War for Fortnite. How's that sound? We could do that.
You know what? It's funny because a couple of years ago, I hated Fortnite. I thought Fortnite was the devil. It was terrible. But then it did a Marvel collaboration last year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a simp for anything Marvel. You slap Marvel into a game or a movie or TV show, and I'm going to watch it, regardless of quality, regardless of what people think about it, right? I put over like 300 hours in that Avengers game that they had, despite it being utter shit. Am I allowed to swear? I don't know. Am I allowed to swear on
Shit,
this
fuck, cuck,
podcast?
whatever you want to say. I don't care.
Okay.
Every platform is free speech if you don't give a shit, right?
True. I just, sometimes people don't like that. I've been on a show with a guy called the No Swear Gamer, and that was really hard because it was like his whole gimmick is that he doesn't swear. He literally, it's in his name, the No Swear Gamer.
Oh no, I
So
I appreciate it. I that's why I usually just will rattle off some swear words and that. I totally understand that. I have another buddy I do a show with, and he doesn't like swearing, but then he's got me and a former military police officer on, and all we do is just swear swear. My stepdad was a trucker, born and bred in Chicago from the Ravenswood neighborhood, and the funny part about that is he sounds like he was born in like Louisiana, like the swamp people who go out there and shoot gators. So everyone's always confused or like, where's he from? I'm like, Chicago. And they're like, really? But yeah, no, swearing's fine.
I lost my train of thought. I don't even remember where the hell I was going with that.
I'm sorry, I was prattling on like an idiot too. Um, but it was about I think the Marvel game and the No Swear Gamer.
Oh, Fortnite. I was saying that yeah, I used to hate Fortnite, but now I love it. I've been playing it ever since the Marvel little like Doctor Doom event they had.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. The no build. I don't want to the building Fortnite. It's not for me. But when the no build, I love it. Love it. Fantastic.
You know what? I feel like when I was like younger, I used to be more into those competitive games. Like I used to play Halo 3 with my friends until like 2, 3, 4 a.m. On weekends or in the summer. But as I've gotten older, I've just been focused more and more on these like solo kind of games. I've lost my edge at playing them. Do you still get competitive? Do you play them with like your son too and everything else like that, or is it just more of like I go in there and like I'm here for the experience type of thing now?
I get super competitive, uber competitive. I don't like games where it's like cooperative. So I don't like Marvel. I tried Marvel Rivals again because it's Marvel. I had to try it, but I don't like the whole like being on a team and having to work together. And uh, despite having a show where I do nothing but talking to people online, and I do it for hours and hours, I don't actually like talking to people online in video games. So MMOs where there's teams and stuff, don't like it, hate it. I don't want to collaborate with people on defeating a boss or getting an objective or moving a truck around a map. Hate that stuff. But when it comes to like single player, where like I'm by myself and I could just like shoot a bunch of people like in Fortnite or Call of Duty or something, super competitive. I will be there for hours, shit talking, trash talking. And no one can hear me because the mic's not on, but I'm just shit talking the whole time. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you a little bit about like the mic not being on and just kind of zoning out. I've become more of a PvE guy, so I'm kind of a little bit of the opposite with you. I love those teamwork kind of games. Monster Hunter is my jam. Just me and like some random dudes killing one giant beast that wants to kill us. I am a little bit of racist when in this game because if I see a Japanese name, I go, "Oh, thank God, we're gonna have an easy time," because Monster Hunter is huge in Japan, so I never get worried about that. But kind of like to your point a little bit here.
It's historical. That's why they have that whole fear of Godzilla. So Monster Hunter is like it's a cultural thing. They're like, oh, giant monsters, we have to kill it. It's like training for when Godzilla shows up.
Yeah, but I've also feel like the fun of just shit talking has left a lot of the online gaming too, with all these new rules and regulations that they put on.
It's Gen Z trash talking and just saying mean things. That whole idea that I could say something mean to you and not mean anything by it, not be offensive, right? Like I can call you an asshole and a stupid bitch and all that, and at the end of the day, like that doesn't mean that. It's meaningless. It's just shit talk.
Yeah.
But everyone's like so sensitive, like, oh no, he said I was bad at a game. Oh, he said I was trash on the team, and then they're like, they internalize it and it hurts their feelings, and it's because we fucked it up. My generation is the problem, right? Because we got so much shit from our parents and stuff, and they were so mean to us. We were like, hey, we should be nicer to our kids. And then we developed all those like participation trophies and like telling people, encouraging children and stuff, and telling them they did a good job even when it was shitty. And putting artwork on the refrigerator and telling them, hey, you could be an astronaut. See, I was always told you're never going to be an astronaut because you're an asshole. No one likes you, right?
Right.
We told our kids you could be an astronaut if you really try hard enough, which was bullshit because there's not that many astronauts. Really, think about it. How many people are actually fucking astronauts? Not that many, right?
No.
So you telling your kid you could be an astronaut, you were setting them up for failure, but we didn't realize this. So they became really sensitive to all of this trash talk and stuff, and now now they're in charge and they're putting all these rules in, and everyone has to be nice and fluffy to each other, and we can't tell people the truth, and we can't hurt people's feelings. We can't tell fat people they're fat no more. We can't. Hey, fatty, maybe stop eating. You can't do that. That's verboten.
Yeah,
I actually got banned from Reddit completely for calling fatties fat. It's horrible.
This whole moderation stuff has just been so wild to deal with. My first Twitter account got banned because I on some weirdo online. He was a Sony pony, and I was kind of just talking shit because as I do, and this guy was just like sending me like weirdo like messages to go look at his like weird dick pics that he had pinned on his Twitter account because I guess he was one of those like weird OnlyFans like dudes. And I was like, no, I don't want to see your dick. And then he kept like saying like weird stuff about penises, and I responded to him one time, and I said, man, you really want to see my dick? All right, send me like this much money, and I'll show you it because I was getting tired of the shit talking. And then I got my account completely nuked by the Twitter censors for just that one response, and I was just like, what is going on with
And
this
you didn't even get the
moderation?
money, huh?
No,
You didn't even get paid.
unfortunately. Well, he didn't get to see my dick
Never do
either,
that.
so there you go.
You got to watch that because I mean, you put out a number, right? You go, hey, give me $500, and suddenly someone might chime in and go, okay, I'll call you. I'll call your bluff.
Hey, man,
I've
500
had that
bucks.
issue. I said, hey, $700, I'll stop drinking monsters, thinking that it was impossible. And my chat said, hey, we got you, $700. And I had to give up Monster for a whole month. I went from 4 a day to 0. It was like into a brick wall.
Jesus Christ, man. How did your adrenaline even recover from that?
I was tired for that whole month. All last month, I was just a zombie.
Oh, I bet. Especially when you're going from 4 a day. Jesus, man. At that point, are you even getting caffeine, or is it just because of the flavor?
I just like the flavor. I don't think the caffeine affects me at all. I could literally, people find this weird, but I could just drink a Monster and then just go to bed.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I used to work for AT&T, I used to be waking up at 2, 3 in the morning, and I'd go through like 2 monsters a day, take a nap, and still be all messed up and that. I can't do it as much anymore now, obviously, because I have a real job that doesn't involve me doing that, but that's still insane, man. 4 fucking monsters a day. Jesus Christ. God bless you. So now I'm guessing you're back on that from what I recall, right?
Oh, I'm drinking them. I'm not back up to 4 yet. I'm at like 2 a day right now. Trying to cut back. I went from 4 to 0, and I was like, well, I guess I can go back to like 2, right? Because I do like the flavor, but I don't need to drink them. Sometimes it just be like, oh, I got nothing to do. Let me just drink a Monster while I'm playing games. Like I didn't actually need it. I wasn't thirsty. I was just like, oh, I got them. Let me just drink them. I have a real issue with self control when it comes to things. Like if I know there's candy in the house, I'll just eat it all. So I can't
Ah,
keep candy in the house.
no, I know that feeling all too well, especially ever since I started dating my now wife. She would always do like the whole thing where it's like, oh, I'm a cookie monster. If I see a cookie in this house, I'm just going to eat it. Like she's fucking Garfield or something, talking about lasagna. So that was like one of the like weird struggles too, especially because at the time, you know, we weren't living together. We were still kind of with our folks at the time before we got engaged and bought our house. But like that was like the thing to do. It's just like, well, get off of work, you go eat and do stuff like them because that's the only thing you can really do at like 9 o'clock at night and out here in the suburbs. There's just not really much to do. And
Yeah,
this is all pre-COVID too, so stuff was still open for the most part, like for 24 hours still. So you could go to like the 24-hour McDonald's or something like that as well.
that's terrible. I used to work a third shift, so I would uh, my girlfriend would take me out to eat, during work, so I would get that. And then after work, my wife would pick me up, and then she would take me out to eat. So I had to eat two like dinners and pretend like I was like not full. That was horrible.
Oh
That was
yeah.
like every day.
Oh geez, I bet. It's like, why are you getting so fat there, Tony? Oh well, just really like the food that we've been getting. I don't know. So I saw recently that you just started the Yakuza series on your gaming channel. Well, let me rephrase that. Is this your first time playing the Yakuza series?
Okay, so originally I played, I think it was like Yakuza 3. I think that was free on like PlayStation. So
Yeah,
I played
cool.
a little bit of that and I liked it. So then I was like, you know what? Let me go back and let me buy all of them, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up buying every single Yakuza game, but I just never had the time to play them. And then I think it was like 2 years ago, I was like, okay, let me start playing the Yakuza game. So I played Yakuza Zero. And I think I played like, I'll say 3 hours on a stream. And then life just got in the way. I never got back to it. And so then recently I just restarted it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through the whole series, uh, starting with Zero and then all the way through. So,
Yeah, these games are fucking wild. I remember when I used to listen to IGN, there was a one of the co-hosts on the PlayStation podcast who was really trumping him up to me, and then just kind of like you said, I saw that Yakuza Kiwami, the remake of the first one, was free for PlayStation Plus when I had it at the time. So downloaded it, tried it out, and I was like, oh, I really missed out on this whole series. I've played up to five, and I played a few of the spin-off ones. One of them I want to try to get to this year is the PlayStation 3 only one, and I don't know if you bought this one or if you knew it existed, but there is a Yakuza zombie game called Yakuza Dead
yeah,
Souls. Have you played that one or heard about it?
I've heard about it. I haven't played it, but I've heard about
Yeah,
it. I know there's like two spin-off games that are like Japan exclusive.
Um, not anymore. One of them did get ported with like a Dragon Ishin. That was one that was originally exclusive. That's the one where you play as the samurai period, and it's all the same characters, but they got different names, obviously. And the other
No,
series,
sir. Sir, that's not the series I'm talking about. I'm talking about the
the Black Panther ones or the Black Pumas.
yeah,
Yeah, I was about
yeah,
to
that
say
one.
that one. Yeah, those ones are PSP games too, which I have a friend that lives out in Japan that I need to remind him to look for those next time. I forget the exact name of them, but I think it like roughly translates to like Black Panther or Black Puma. And yeah, I've been very interested to check those ones out as well too.
I even got the Windows one, the Streets of Kamurocho. It was like a free Steam game that was like a Streets of Rage meets Yakuza. So I got that in my Steam library.
Now I got another question for you, since we, like you said, you like those little like management games and stuff like that. Have you played a game called Dave the Diver yet, or have you heard of it?
Yes, it was free on PlayStation. I played it. I got pretty far into it, and I just kind of fell off.
All right, all right. Yeah, I really love that game, just shockingly out of nowhere, and I know they just also did a crossover for a kind of Streets of Rage Yakuza DLC as well. So that's why I had to bring it up and ask you that question if you saw that as well too.
Yeah, but it's a good game. It gets a little bit repetitive, and then the management once you get the shop up and running and it like takes care of itself, and it's almost like well you're not like the shop management just takes a back seat. It's kind of like
All right, I got you. I
but
got you. I mean, yeah, I really like it, but I'm happy that you've at least heard of it. So
yeah. Like I said, it's fun. It's a fun game. It's frustrating. I hate when I die, and I'm like, I think that's what really got me to stop because like you got to get really good run, and your box is full of all these like really high item fish. And
mhm.
then suddenly a shark kills you, and you're like, "Fuck! I don't get all I get is one." And it's like, it's just so frustrating to like because of the rogue like element where you just lose everything. Like they don't let you restart the day. They just go, "Oh, you screwed up. You get one. You can take one fish with you." And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't want to do that."
Yeah, I know. There's been a few of those runs where you're like, damn it, I just did something so good, and then all of a sudden, just no, I fucked up. Fucking shark got me. Or especially if you're like overcumbered and you think, oh, I can make this one right, and then a shark just
Yeah.
gets out of the corner, and you're like, fuck me, dude. So I have to ask this question now. The more and
Uh
more
oh.
I hear
You
about,
buttered me up for like 25 minutes, and now you're gonna now's the good questions. Now's the we're gonna hit them.
not so much I'm going to hit you with like a shocker, but it's more so like this is one that's been driving me on the up the wall since I've had Smash JT on. What the fuck
Oh,
is this whole in television Amico and all this stuff? I am learning so much from just listening to your streams where you talk about people like Stuttering Craig and this Mike Mullis. Is that what his name correctly? Is that how you say it?
yeah, Mike Mullis. He's a character. He's one of the original Amico shills. So the Intellivision Amico, that's takes me back. A long, long time ago in the land before, you had Atari and you had a company called Intellivision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, originally, Intellivision was under Mattel. They had the license. It was Mattel's brand for video game consoles. It was a small console. It was. Let me see if I can think of what would be the equivalent of it. It's like a TurboGrafx 16, right? Like it was like, oh, it was the big powerhouse that nobody bought, and only a really small group of people really care about to this day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it had its audience, and then the company ended up getting sold. Mattel got rid of the division. It got sold, moved around, and eventually, some of the original developers started a company called Blue Sky Rangers, right? And they ended up buying the Intellivision license and everything, so they owned it, and it became Intellivision Incorporated, I think.
Right.
Either way, they owned it, and Keith Robinson was the head of that, right? He was the guy in charge, the president. He owned a majority share in the company. He died in like 2017, 16, something like that. And Tommy Tellerico, who is a name from the past, in the 90s, he was the jacket, the leather jacket wearing, loudmouth music guy that would go to like the cons and everything. And like, he was like, oh, look at me, I'm a celebrity. He was on some TV shows and stuff. He built this bad boy, like, oh, cool guy reputation, right?
Right.
And he, always outrageous claims, always like, I did all these things, I'm friends with all these people, blah blah blah, right? This guy ends up going to the funeral of Keith Robinson and convinces the widow Robinson to sell him the majority share of the Intellivision company. He
Okay.
buys it, and he decides, because he grew up playing Intellivision, and he really loved it, and so his goal, I'm putting this in quotes, air quotes, his goal was to make a new console with the Intellivision name. He was going to bring back Intellivision, and it was going to be called the Amico, because Amico is Italian for friend. It was going to be, the Intellivision Amico, and it was going to come back. It was going to be old school couch co-op gaming, from generations past. It wasn't going to be this newfangled, high tech system. It was going to be like a simple old school style system to play games with your family. Games that grandma and grandpa can play. They're not going to be overly complicated. That's the way he sold it, right? However, all of that was all just bullshit and smoke, right? Because the system itself was super overly complicated. It had like touchscreen. It had gyroscopes. It had gyroscopes and shit in there, right? So you could have motion control. It had all these complex systems in this machine. And if he was talking to like a retro gamer, he would lean on like, oh, this is a retro system, like in television, all this history, blah blah blah. If he was talking to like a housewife, he'd be like, oh, this is a system for the moms can just put it on for their kids and it's family friendly, right? So whatever audience he was talking to, that's how he would try to frame this system.
Like a hermit crab. He's just trying to fit in with
Yeah,
whatever he can.
exactly. And so he got involved in a bunch of shit, and we'll circle back to that. Just put a pin in it, right? Because this is where it relates to Smash JT. Smash JT heard about the system and shit all over it. He said exactly what everyone else on my side of the Amico debacle said, right? Like that it was overly complicated, too expensive, outdated. It had no market. Nobody was going to buy this. Intellivision was a small company that no one really has nostalgia for. There's not like more people remember Atari and Coleco than Intellivision by far, right? So it doesn't even have name recognition from the old days.
Right.
And he was saying how it was going to be a terrible thing and everything, and completely shit on it. And at that time, I think Smash had about 12, 13,000 subscribers, right?
Mm.
And so Tommy was really like scared. He got really, really scared. And so he reached out to Smash and he offered Smash that you can come into our offices and you can take a tour and we're going to show you everything. We'll give you an exclusive interview. And he took Smash into his Ferrari and they drove around in the Ferrari. And suddenly Smash had an epiphany and he thought the Intellivision Amico was the greatest thing ever. And he unlisted his previous video. He had made this whole like apology. And from that day forward, he became a full-blown shill. He gave Tommy $10,000 in investment money because that Ferrari ride was so fucking special to him. Right?
Jesus Christ.
So Tommy, for his part, he had gotten involved with a bunch of, we'll say sketchy for the sake of not being sued on your podcast, right? A bunch of sketchy investment firms, investment people who had been removed from their ability to actually trade stock. Like one of the guys, investment companies, essentially the guy who owns it is not allowed to actually trade stock on the stock market. Like the stock market banned him because he is such a scumbag. Right?
Oh, wow.
So he had to build like an LLC where he's like, he doesn't invest, but he gives you quote unquote advice. Right. And so what it is it's like a one of those seminars where they get a bunch of old people and they're like, hey, we're going to give you 3 trips to Disneyland if you come listen to this seminar, right? And then they give you the hard sell of like these like really good stocks that they know. Like if the stocks are so good, why are you giving these tips to a bunch of old people and not investing yourself, right? Why aren't you putting $1 million into this company that you're telling me is going to hit really big, right? Why do you need my $1,000? But so he ran a bunch of those and eventually he ended up getting $17 million in investment money.
Oh, wow.
Through these various schemes. And this whole time he was, and I'm really condensing the history. Like I'm sure there's people who might be listening to this at some point who know the history and they're like, no, Tony, you're like leaving out these details. And there's so much more. There's so much more. Tommy would go into forums and attack people. Anyone with criticism, anyone who was like, hey, you know what? This doesn't look that good. He would just like attack you. He'd be like, hey, who do you think you are, huh? You don't have a family or something that would enjoy this? Are you a loser who sits at home always shitting on things and hating people? Why can't you just let us have fun? Like he was like a total fucking asshole. All in YouTube comments, on forums, in interviews. He was always shitting on the quote unquote haters and saying how he was gonna, he can't wait to celebrate, after it's a success and how we're all gonna be losers who are just like asterisks in the record books as he's like celebrating this huge win that never came. So it was a total debacle, total shit show. And for I want to say like a year, 2 years, Smash JT was the man out front. He was, attacking critics. He was attacking people that had anything negative to say about Tommy or the Intellivision or the system. Whenever they put out a trailer, he would be the, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. This is so good. Like he would do zero investigative journalism. He would do nothing, right? All that fell onto me, right? Me and a small group of people, we would look at the footage and we go, wait a minute. He showed 3 Sesame Street games on that trailer, but those 3 Sesame Street games are free on sesamestreet.org. Like, why is he going to charge you $20 to play a free Flash game, right? Oh, that Evel Knievel game? That Evel Knievel game is a 10-year-old mobile game that's available on the App Store right now, right? Like, because he would make these bold claims about every game on the system is going to be original. Every game is a brand new, unique, Amico exclusive, right? And then constantly we would find like, no, wait a minute, that game's already out. That game's just got a new coat of paint, but it's already out. That game is some old game that they changed the graphics on and then try to re-release it. On top of that, Tommy put out trailers with games that didn't exist. Okay? And I'm not saying that these games were potential games. I'm not saying that these games were works in progress. I'm saying these games literally never existed. I'm saying these games had never been worked on. These games had never been nothing more than some guy's proof of concept somewhere, right? That they found and they put it on a trailer and pretended like it was an exclusive game for the Amico. That's how scummy and scumbaggery Tommy Tallarico got. They gave themselves loans, and they loaned money to the company out of their pocket and then paid themselves back with their own investment money. And right now, there's not a single Intellivision Amico that has ever been produced by a manufacturer. Despite constantly getting email updates saying that they were at the manufacturer, they're ready to manufacture, they're at formal manufacturing. The manufacturing process has begun, guys. Nothing has ever been manufactured. They slapped together a few 3D printed shells that they put some cheap stuff in the inside. Basically, it was like a mobile phone guts inside of it to pretend they had a system. And they gave it out to a couple of the top shills, Mike Mullis being one of them, DJC, a guy named Atari Creep. I think there's one more out there. These four guys basically got the only quote unquote working Intellivision Amicos out in the wild. This there's a couple of dev kits, quote unquote, that are out there, but other than that, no one else has, and it's never been produced. And eventually, despite all of Tommy saying that these games could never be played on any other console, on any other system, they couldn't work on your mobile phone, they eventually had to create a mobile phone app called the Amico Home. And eventually, after that, they had to release the games on basically every platform. So you can play exclusive Amico games on your Nintendo Switch. So.
Jesus Christ, I didn't even know about all this stuff. I didn't realize just how many people were involved in this whole thing that I have actually had to deal
there's
with.
so many more.
Yeah.
Pretty much every single person in the retro gaming space was involved in this debacle in some way or another, whether it was hating on it, whether it was endorsing it, whether it was just commenting on it. Everybody, Victor Lucas got involved. Pat the NES Punk was a detractor. He got involved. A bunch of the other, like John Riggs and stuff like that, they all looked at it. It's so bad. There's a sizzle reel, quote unquote, sizzle reel, right? Where Tommy took a bunch of quotes from people talking about it, and he chopped up their quotes because they're like more or less bigger YouTubers,
Mm-hmm.
and he put them in this sizzle reel without telling them to make it look like they were endorsing the system.
Jesus.
Tommy literally went online several times over to say that the Nintendo Switch had child porn on it.
I really did not hear about any of this stuff. So when did this all like kick off? Because I find myself to be
2018.
2018, really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He was at a was it Portland Retro Game Expo. And that's when they had the big presentation, like, oh, it's going to be, we got this new console coming out for Intellivision, blah, 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 blah. And he made a bunch of bold claims, like it was going to have a special 2D chip that was going to make his Intellivision more powerful than the PlayStation or Xbox. And immediately he had to walk it back. He walked it back so hard, Carl. He walked it back so hard that he contacted the only person that took video of the event and had them edit out that section. So there's a video out there of the big reveal on like a retro gaming channel. It's like Portland Game Expo, Tommy Tallarico presentation, right? And you get to this one part, and then suddenly like there's a 2-minute skip. Like the video just, you can tell there's like a hard cut in there.
Yeah.
Because Tommy basically strong-armed this guy to remove it because he had made wild claims in those 2 minutes. He was making wild claims that he could not back up. He claimed that he was the first American to work on a Sonic game, despite his game that he worked on was Sonic and the Black Knight, and the Sonic 2 game was worked on by Americans, many Americans.
This is very interesting to me because the funny thing is,
He's a habitual liar.
yeah, I'm learning that a lot from just basically having Smash on the first time because I never knew about this stuff until someone brought it up on my chat when he was on. And then the funny part is, I have a normie friend who is a huge video game collector like me. Me and him go retro hunting. He's my homie. I take on the retro trips. And he was like, "Oh, you had Smash JT on." He was laughed out of the retro community because of that,
Yeah.
Amico.
I take it that Smash didn't really dive into the part where he was an Amico shill. Huh? He was probably just telling you about how he hated the Amico.
Yeah, so basically, he kind of like gave me the like slim down, rundown version, the like, "Oh shucks, I fell for it" kind of deal.
Oh, it wasn't an all shucks. It was I'm all in, jacking Tommy off 24/7.
Yeah, because like I said, I didn't know too much about Smash JT at the time. Ironically enough, the day I first had him on was the day of the now infamous Alyssa Mercante lawsuit was launched against him,
I
and
hope he loses that.
I'm in that camp now too with everything I'm learning about this too, because it seems that the man is how do you say this? I think I said this on Twitter to him. I was like, you fall for scams that even Mr. Magoo wouldn't fall for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think he fell for it. I think so. Like I said, if you know anything about Smash, right? Um, I've known Smash prior to my Amico stuff, right?
Right.
I was involved in gaming, Gamergate, all that stuff, and I had known about Smash prior to the Amico, right? Because I was in another community, and Smash was in that community too, and he got laughed out of that community at that time. Right? He's friends with this person now. I'm trying not to name any names,
Right.
but back then, like they were like, "Oh yeah, this guy's a fucking joke. No one likes him." Right now, because he got so many subs, they're friends, right? But back then, they were like, "This guy's a fucking joke. He doesn't know what he's talking about," right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew about Smash way back then, and he was always crying about Screenwave and the retro guys, the bigger channels, right? How they wouldn't let him in, and they were always gatekeeping him. And he was always like, if you go look in his channel, because he doesn't delete a lot of videos. If you go to his channel, there's a lot of old videos where he's complaining about like the John Riggs and the 8-Bit Erics and all that guys that he's buddies with now. He's buddy with 8-Bit Eric now, but back in the gap, he hated 8-Bit Eric and all those guys because they were keeping him out, right? The angry video game nerds, the bigger retro gamers, because he felt that they were holding him back. They wouldn't let him sit at the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a female YouTuber, what the hell's her name? Destiny FOMO. He has so many videos about Destiny FOMO where he just insults her. Like he just doesn't like the fact that she's a pretty girl that has the word I'm looking for here, adult content, right, on the side. She started doing like OnlyFans or something, and he didn't like that. That he thought that her having OnlyFans and being on YouTube was somehow like harming the kids. Won't anyone think about the children? The children are watching YouTube, and if they see Destiny FOMO, they might fall into the trap of her having an OnlyFans. Like he's quote unquote anti-thought, right? Not anymore, right?
No,
With
it
Junior
doesn't
Gate and
fit
everything,
it.
he's
No.
like, yeah. But way back in the gap, he was, and he hated all those people. A lot of the people he hangs out with now didn't like him, and he didn't like them. So it's strange to see these people all like interacting. Now, knowing what I know about Smash, he did a video, and it's so funny because he did a video. It was like an indie game made by Native Americans, right?
Right.
And Smash claims that he's part Native American. Okay, so I got to give all context. Okay, so Smash claims he's part Native American.
Okay.
It's a game. It's a little indie game. I forget what the name of it is, right? But he did a review of this game, and he painted himself brown with white spots and this like cheap like towel to make himself look like a Native American, okay, like an Indian.
Mm.
And he did this review. So like we all clowned on him, like, oh my god, I can't believe you did a review in blackface, essentially, right? So we watched it, and we were watching. I was EFAP in this review, and we got about halfway in, and he deleted the video while we were watching it,
Okay, so that was the
like
video that
live.
you were talking about too, because I remember you. Like I said, I've been kind of relatively new to your content here, uh, because I've been catching up with everything. So when I remember you were saying that you were watching a Sturgis video when he privated that one, and then you said something about like a Smash JT video, and I was wondering which one that was because I know of the reference that you're talking about because there's been pictures like screenshots of it posted all online when he starts to get a little act up when people go like what about this there with him. So that was the video you're talking about then. Okay.
Yeah. So it's my fault. The reason that video is gone is because I EFAP'd it and he got really worried. Um, like I said, I knew Smash way back in the gap. And so even when this whole like Amico thing kicked off, right? I had reached out to Smash and I said, "Hey Smash," I sent him an email. I said, "Hey Smash," well, I call him by his name. I said, "Hey Jeff," right? I said, we kind of know each other. We're in the same circles, and you flip flopped on this Amico thing. So people are going to ask me. They already are asking me, what's going on, and people are saying that you had gotten essentially bought off, right? Like Tommy bought you off. And I was like, I don't believe that because I know you. I don't think you'd be bought off. In hindsight, I totally think he would be bought off. But back then, I was still, naive about Smash.
Yeah, no. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So I was like, I don't think you would be bought off. I was like, so you just tell me, right? You tell me you weren't bought off. And so when people ask me, I could be like, I talked to Smash. I did my due diligence, talked to him, and he told me no. And so, take that for what it is, right? Like, I'm not endorsing or saying he's lying. I'm just saying, hey, this is what he told me, right? Mm-hmm. So that way I'm clear. He sent that email to Tommy Tellerico directly. And then Tommy then went online and claimed that I was harassing Smash behind the scenes and making false allegations against him.
Jesus Christ. There's like...
He threatened to sue me. Carl, Tommy Tellerico, the CEO, president of Intellivision Entertainment, threatened to sue me on multiple occasions. Okay? He doxed my face. He was literally sending a picture of me that they thought was me. It wasn't me. Turns out it was my brother. They had confused me for my brother.
Oh, no.
So they have a picture of my brother and his then girlfriend, now wife, right? And they were passing this picture around because they thought it was me. A CEO of a company was packed because at this point I had not shown my face online. So a CEO of a company was doxing me to all the Amico shills behind the scenes. Okay. He claimed that I was sexually harassing a YouTuber. He didn't say this publicly. No, he said this behind the scenes to all of his buddies. Like, oh, you need to watch out for that guy, Tony, because he sexually harasses female YouTubers. And he told this to a whole bunch of people. So a whole bunch of people didn't like me because they were hearing these crazy stories from Tommy Tellerico that were 100% factually not true.
This stuff is so fucking weird, man. And kind of like what you're saying about all this stuff too, is just like this new weird like Twitter group that like has kind of formed from like the ashes of all these people too, like with the whole like anti-woke and all these like people that we've dealt with too, that like the yellow flashes, the GNGs, like I like to say just the derivative groups that have spawned from all these little sub movements. They all continue to just act the same, do like the same weird shit. And a lot of these people too that we were talking about have just kind of all morphed together in this like weird, sorrow inducing, like I need to survive any way I can. And they've now changed, from Tommy to people like, Mark Kern, aka Grums, whatever you want to call him as well, as like this is the new face of the guy that we got to rally behind and save gaming. And I just don't understand why they do this stuff. Like, why are these people like so desperate to fit? Money is like one thing, but it's also like this weird thing where I just naturally believe that these people were just picked on so much in high school that they really want to be like part of the table, like you said, where Smash is basically telling you like, oh man, this is bullshit. Why am I not on the video game nerd thing? Why am I not hanging out with people like Stuttering Craig and all these other people like that? I should be at this table. And it's like this weird inferiority complex that really just keeps rearing its ugly head with some of these people, where they just, they really wanted to hang out with the popular kids in high school, and they never got a chance. And now they get their chance, and they just continue to look like fools. They just don't understand that they're not there to be the fucking bridesmaid. I mean, sorry, to be the bride. They're just always that ugly bridesmaid that's just there to make the bride look better by comparison.
Yeah, I've banged a few ugly bridesmaids. Nothing wrong with an ugly bridesmaid, but I think some of it is that, right? They want to be the person that everyone looks up to. They want to be the guy that they point to, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see it with like you said, with like geeks and gamers and stuff, right? Like they hate mainstream, blah blah blah, but Piers Morgan calls them up, and boom, they're on the Piers Morgan show, spouting the same bullshit. These guys will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, they will do whatever it takes to hang on to their YouTube relevance, right? They don't know what objective journalism is. They don't know what being objective reviewers. They don't know how to review media. They have media illiteracy up the ass. Okay, they change their opinions on a dime. It really boggles the mind how they even have an audience. But I guess when you have a bunch of people who don't really pay attention, right? They only have surface level knowledge. So they go, "Oh, who's that guy? Oh, he's the anti woke guy. I'm anti woke, so that must be my guy, right?"
Yeah.
There's a lot of team sports, and during the Gamergate days, I had to deal with this a lot. And people used to hate me, right? I'm Gamergate. I love fucking free speech and letting people do whatever they want to do in the games, right? Hey, you're a developer. You develop your game however you want, right?
Right.
However, that's not what they wanted, right? I found out real quick that Gamergate didn't want that. I wanted that. I thought that's what the movement was about. But no, the movement was just about, I don't want that in my game. That being leftism, liberal bullshit, right?
Right.
I don't want that in my game either. But when I say I don't want it in my game, I mean I don't want to buy that. I'll just buy something else. When they say they don't want it in their game, they mean they don't want that to be allowed to even exist, which is really weird and fascist, right? And I don't ascribe to that school.
Yeah.
So I'm saying all that to say this, Carl. When it came to like your quarterings and stuff, they would put out videos and they'd be like, "Hey, quartering just put out this new video and it says X, Y, and Z," and I would be like, fact checking, like, "No, he's wrong, and here's why." And I would just like a huge list of things, right? They'd be like, "Oh, Steam just censored this game," and I'd be like, "No, actually, I talked to the developers, and the developers said that they actually didn't get any translations from the original Japanese company that owns it, because the original Japanese company wants to get out of doing hentai. They want to do regular games now, so they did not license the hentai scenes to the translators. That's why it's not having hentai scenes on Steam. It has nothing to do with Steam, in fact."
Yeah.
Right? But that's not sexy. That's not a sexy headline. It's, hentai game company decides no longer to be hentai. That doesn't sell what they're trying to, pitch to the audience.
Yeah.
Steam bans game, or Steam refuses to allow this adult scene in an adult game. That's sexy. That, people like, they get mad and they get angry, and they, Steam's an enemy they can fight. And so, I was disillusioned with that whole thing. And like I said, a lot of people didn't like me. A lot of people were really upset with me, even daring to question, quote unquote, our guys, right? How dare you question our guys?
Yeah.
Right?
No, you're
for a while.
Sorry, finish your point.
As I say, for a while, again, they're always saying this is what we want: objective games journalism, right? News and reviews and stuff that just focus on the game, right? We don't want all these politics. No politics in our game reviews, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and did that. I actually created a website that was 100% objective in my coverage, right? News articles were just about news, didn't have any opinion. Reviews were strictly about the game. They weren't about like, did you hear what Kojima did on the weekend? Or, hey, did you see this developer said this on Twitter? Like, none of that was included in the reviews, right? The reviews were just on the game. Here's the game. Here's the mechanics, the story, the graphics, the art, the music, all, yada, yada, yada. And here's how it comes together, whether you like it or not, right? Mm-hmm. Those were my reviews. They didn't like that. Gamergate rejected that idea because they wanted right-wing politics. And see, it wasn't, again, they say I don't want politics in my reviews, but what they really mean is I don't want them shitting on the things that I like. I want people shitting on the things I don't like in my reviews.
Right. you're 100% spot on with that too. And I've kind of started to, I've went through my whole cycle and everything, um, kind of going back a little bit to one of your points, it's like how they get people to watch this stuff. And I think what it is that they target like people who are like down, depressed, upset. From a lot of people that I've talked to doing the show, let's take Star Wars for example. Star Wars has a very personal and intimate place with a lot of these people in their lives. Like they associate with memories of their families, childhood. Their dad took them to see the first Star Wars movie. Their mom took them to see the second one. Their grandma bought them like their first Star Wars video game as a kid or something like that. And when Disney took over and did all this stuff, and a lot of people, myself included, really did not like The Last Jedi, and they really hated it. It was during a time when Donald Trump was it, where you couldn't escape a lot of this stuff too. I suffer from depression, so like when I was younger, it was really bad, and it was like harder for me to like manage. And then you find people that tell you, "No, you're not crazy. You're not crazy." It's kind of like when like how people ask like, "Well, how do people fall for cults?" And it's like the very simple answer is they find like vulnerable people who are down and feel sad about their life, and they can't get out of this rut, and they start listening to it. I think for me, when a lot of
But
this,
simple, Carl. They tell you that it's not your fault. See, Disney Star Wars sucking now isn't because you
right?
don't get it. It's because they ruined it for you, right? It's like a cult. That's what the cults do. Like, oh, you're not the problem. Your family's the problem. So come live. We love you. They hate you. Come live with us,
Yes.
and we'll take care of you.
Yes, 100%. And like I've been kind of going back now, like because now we got like a bunch of new people that came into the whole like anti woke thing. I got disillusioned with a lot of like the first geners, as I say, because once they all started to talk about video games, I realized really quickly they did not know dick about fuck about any video game they were talking about. So it was easy for me to kind of suss them out a lot faster. But like now it's like a lot of stuff reminds me, and you can probably agree with me, like when Trump was first running, when we had all these people going like, we're Dumbledore's army, we're gonna stop Donald Trump. And a lot of the 4chaners at the time would be like, holy fucking shit, read another book, faggot. Just that's what they would say
Yeah.
to these people. It's just like, read another book. And now I've reached that point with some people with like this whole Star Wars stuff, like, oh, they're ruining Star Wars and everything else. I'm like, holy fucking shit, just watch a different movie, just play a different video game. There's so many great things. If there's so many great things about like past video games, why don't you go play some older series? I can recommend you 15 if you really want. But the problem is that they
It's
don't.
entitlement,
Yes, there is
entitlement, and attachment. It's EA. Everything can in video games can be blamed on EA. That simple. Entitlement and attachment. They think they're entitled to a new video game or Star Wars or a movie, right? They're entitled.
Mm-hmm.
They owe us. I've given you money to watch the original trilogy. Now you owe me a new one, right?
Right.
And they're attached to it. That when you go, well, this is an equivalent. Here's an equivalent of this game or this media franchise, and you go, they go, no, but I'm attached to this other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes the problem. Like we see that in comic books all the time, right? We're like, oh my god, we hate the mainstream. We hate what they're doing to Spider-Man. I go, yeah, but look at all these indie comics that are Spider-Man equivalents, right? You could just read one of those. Oh, I don't want to read that. But I've invested so much in Spider-Man. He's mine.
Well,
I own Spider-Man.
if I may interject a little bit here too, it's like these people always tell you about like we gotta respect the lore and respect the canon, and like I like what you brought up with Spider-Man. I'm like, which Spider-Man canon are we talking about here? The Spider-Man Doom Buggy when he fights Big Wheel. Like the TV show from the '90s, the Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends. Like what canon are we
Yeah.
talking about here too?
It's ridiculous, Carl. I have this issue with those people too, right? The respect the canon people.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, if you go back far enough, right? If you respected the canon, if the original creators respected the canon that they created, Superman wouldn't fly.
Right, exactly.
Superman wouldn't have kryptonite, right? There'd be no kryptonite
Mm-hmm.
because that was not respecting the canon. The radio serial invented kryptonite in order to give the actor a break, right, a vacation. So they had to invent a reason for Superman to be out of action, right? Essentially, it's like, oh, there's this thing, it's called kryptonite. It makes Superman weak, and now Superman won't be on the radio drama for like 2 weeks, right?
Right.
Spider-Man, the same thing. He's changed over the years. He's evolved.
Yes.
And all that becomes canon, right? It becomes canon as long as you guys writing it keep it, right. If they go, okay, so we liked that idea, we're going to keep that, right? We like that idea, we're going to keep that. That's how it became canon. Same thing with the Hulk. I love the Hulk. He's my guy, right? He's my favorite comic book character. But he has changed so dramatically over the years, right? That he's almost unrecognizable. If you look at the current state of the Hulk versus the original version of the Hulk, they are worlds apart. They're almost different fucking characters.
Right.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. And that's kind of like where I'm at too with Star Wars, because a lot of people go like, well, it's not real, it's Disney, Star Wars, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, look, I always try to reason with these people, and I know I shouldn't, but, you know, I always say this. Look, my favorite character of Star Wars is a character named Jaina Solo. All right? She's never coming to the big screen. I've accepted this. All right? It's not what I liked growing up. I totally got to admit that this is done. It's dead. I could still read that if I want, but it's not going to happen. That ship has sailed, and it's never turning around unless someone comes in, Disney changes everything, go like, we're doing a full reboot and we're restarting from 7 and 8 and everything else like that. Is what it is.
I don't think they have to.
Well,
Specifically on Star Wars, I don't think they need to. Again, if we look at comic books as the prime example, right?
right.
If I gave you Spider-Man, his entire run, right, from Amazing Fantasy 15 to the current run now, every series that he was in, every appearance, everything, right, and you read it all, okay? I'm sure you'd be like, well, you see, from issue 50 to 57, I didn't like those, right? That was a bad run. The Byrne run, I didn't like that run. The Jenkins run wasn't so good. I didn't like this guy or whatever. Like, I didn't like when they changed artists. Todd McFarlane's art was good, but the guy before him was bad, and the guy after him wasn't as good, right? Like, there will be things that you can point to. So as long as Star Wars, the next episode, episode 10, if 10, 11, and 12 are fantastic, you'll look back at 7, 8, and 9 and go, yeah, they suck, but it's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal.
Well, yeah, right? I 100% agree with you, because I always try to remind people is like, look, people hated the prequels, guys. Like, there were people walking around with Jar Jar Binks on a pike, going and like saying George Lucas doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He hasn't made a good movie without help from either his ex-wife or Steven Spielberg kind of guiding him around. Like, what the fuck was Attack of the Clones? Like, I'm totally aware of all this stuff. A lot of these people like to like either forget about it or pretend that like those things never existed because they found the new boogeyman, which was a Disney.
There's literally a movie called The People versus George Lucas, in which the people put George Lucas on the stand for ruining Star Wars with all his special editions and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I remember all this stuff. And like, I do agree with you. It's kind of like what we saw with games like Halo, Gears of War, God of War, like all these, historic franchises that they had their amazing trilogy runs. They ended it, and then they're like rebooting them. I always say to people, I'm like, good writers can save, bad ideas. It just takes like a good writer to do it. That's 100% a thing. I do agree with you about like, Star Wars. Like, if they had some good writers, episode 10 comes out and episode 10's a banger. I agree, because a good writer came in and saved it. My point originally, though, if I wanted to see someone like Jaina Solo and Jay Solo, they would have to reboot it, because there would be no way this would make any sense.
They're never coming out, and it's a real simple reason why they will never show up. You want to know what it is?
Yeah, sure.
Disney's not going to pay for them. That's it.
I heard
Disney does not own them. Disney doesn't own a lot of the expanded universe stuff. Disney doesn't own. That's why for the longest they weren't bringing out what's his name, the general guy that's coming out in the new
Thrawn.
What's his name? Thrawn. Thrawn. Right, the Thrawn trilogy and all that. That's why they didn't. Even though everyone loved it, that was like, oh, why didn't you just do Thrawn? Because they tried to do their own thing, because they don't own Thrawn. They had to pay a license for that. And a lot of those characters in the expanded universe, George Lucas licensed Star Wars out to them, but he don't own those characters, right? The license doesn't work both ways. They go, oh, I allow you to play in Star Wars, and then you created your own characters in Star Wars. You own those characters. And so when Disney bought Star Wars, they didn't get the expanded universe. That's why the first thing they did was to just kill it, right? They go, hey, all this expanded universe stuff doesn't exist. It's not canon, right? Because they
Yeah.
don't own any of that stuff.
Yeah,
And
and
then slowly but surely they would pick and choose. They go, okay, we could license that, or we could buy that property. Hey, that guy's willing to sell us Thrawn, so we'll buy Thrawn, right? That guy's willing to sell this character. Uh, but I mean, those characters, as good as they are and everything, even whether making them make sense or shoehorning them in or fitting them in some other way, they would just you could just slap two different names on it, and essentially it's the same thing for free, right?
yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. And on top of that, too, these people that we've been talking about, they've made the exact same point to their fans. That Disney does not want to pay their writers. They want to rip these people off. That's why they don't really want to do anything with these books. They refuse to pay them royalties. They constantly bring this stuff up, and it's kind of like goes in one ear out the other for the next talking point that they need to fit in.
It's all silliness. Like I said, it's all to get their fans riled up. Here's what I want to see, because I have always been so curious with these channels like Geeks and Gamers and Quartering and even Smash JT, all these anti-woke, anti-Disney people, right? I want to look at their analytics, because I'm really curious to know if people actually watch their videos, or they just click on them like, oh, this guy's anti-woke, so I'm going to click on it, give them a view and a thumbs up, and then they just like don't actually listen to what they're saying, right? Because I've watched a few people, right? And literally they will contradict themselves within their same video, or they'll say something that's clearly wrong. Like we watched a few drinker videos where we go, because they're movies that I've seen, right? So I go, okay, I've seen this movie, so I'll know if he's talking out of his ass, right? And we watch it, go, clearly he didn't watch the movie, because what he just said was completely not what happened in the movie, or that was actually explained, or if you paid attention to the movie and not watched a Chinese bootleg and read the subtitles, you would know that that's not what happened, right? Like, so I'm always curious if people are actually watching because they get a lot of views, but do they get a lot of watch time? Do people actually watch the video?
And I think I said this before with like me. I think they have a lot of people that don't actually watch any of this stuff anymore because they've kind of bought into the whole idea of, I'm watching it so you don't have to. So these people go out there and they will listen to them, or it's like a subject they're not familiar with, because I really don't know that much about comics. I will never pretend to be an expert, but I started listening to your boy Zach back in the day when he's talking about things like America Chavez and Lady Thor and, all these other things. And he was entertaining. He was funny. Like he was making me laugh. And
Their boy Zach, yeah, man, he's always. I've tried to watch him, and it's so hard. He's so slow to get to his point.
Yeah, back in the day, he was better. Like I said, this was like 2016. Like back in the day, I used to.
He got beaten down by life, right? This was
and it's like you said, I used to watch The Critical Drinker and all these people and G and everyone else like that, because it's like, oh yeah, they're talking about something. Some of them are entertaining, some of them are funny. Like that. That's what it is. Like I watch these people because it's like I stopped watching Doctor Who because it was shit, and then I listened to them continue to shit on Doctor Who as my dopamine hit, and then it went through the natural cycle. It's like, well, comic books don't. That's not, as we saw with Yellow Flash say, comic books. That's not moving the algorithm. So I went to TV shows, I went to movies, Disney this, Disney that. It's like MCU, Star Wars, like the big IPs and everything else. And it's like, obviously, you go through that cycle, and then like I said to you earlier, then they started talking about video games, stuff that I actually still play. I went through the whole Gamergate shit with kind of like you, not as forefront about it, but I would still play a lot of these games, and I still tell these these Johnny come latelys, because they all go like, oh, Veilguard is woke, Veilguard is this, Veilguard is that. I'm like, did you guys play Dragon Age Inquisition? Because Dragon Age Inquisition was just as woke. And then they all kind of go like, well,
all of them were woke, even Dragon Age Origin.
Yeah,
if you go by what they call woke, I mean, let's take Dragon Age Origin for example, right? You can play one of the origins is a female city elf, right? You can play that, in which the female city elf beats up her captors, beats up her husband, who's a jerk who wants to rape her because she's an elf, right? And then become a strong, powerful girl boss who then becomes the champion of the world, right?
Right.
Like literally all the tropes are there. Like there's different origins, so there's different tropes, but all the ones that they hate were still present within the first Dragon Age game.
Hey, exactly.
Right?
That's the point that I try to make with these people. I'm like, you could go back to Dragon Age 2 and they would bitch about everyone being bisexual and all this other weird stuff. And I'll go like, well, Dragon Age Inquisition, they had like a trans character that you could never question about like, them being trans at all. You had to like self-affirm them. I have a whole background with the Dragon Age community. They attract what I like to call the 50-year-old white women that would go join ISIS because they're lonely cat ladies. Like I go into like a Dragon Age group
Yeah,
and it's fucking weird.
I hear you. I think it was what was it Inquisition that had the gay guy that basically he's like, my dad was using blood magic to make me straight, and it's like, oh, we're doing this.
Yeah, and the thing about that too is that the I call him Freddie Mercury because I think they use like Freddie Mercury's face to design that character. I forget
Yeah,
his name off the top of my head. But they were open and honest about that with Dragon Age Inquisition. That the dev who wrote his storyline was an openly gay guy, and he said he used his own coming out experience with his dad to make that character's like gay story too as well. Like
yeah.
they weren't hiding any of this stuff.
It's super. It is. I will say I agree with the anti woke crowd and the fact that like some of this just doesn't make sense in the context of the world. When you go, oh, like Harry Potter, like having trans people, and you go, oh, so Harry Potter has a magical juice that you could drink that can make you look like anybody. But
Yes.
instead, that person just wears a dress and pretends to be a woman. Like literally, you could use magic to turn you into a woman, but instead of that, you just put a dress on and say you're like, like
Yeah, they got Hulk Hogan fucking serving you
yeah.
butterbeer, going like, "How you doing, brother? My
It's
pronouns are
like
she, her."
so you like yeah. On the one hand, I go yeah, it doesn't matter, but on the other hand, I go yeah, it loses like the world. The world building kind of falls apart when you
Yeah.
start looking into it and go, well, yeah, that wouldn't actually happen, right? Like it's like when you look at Final Fantasy VII, right? One of my favorite games. Love Final Fantasy VII. But then Eris dies, and you go, but I have a whole bunch of Phoenix Downs in my inventory. Why is she dead?
You're right. It's
They just
it's the joke that Robot Chicken made with Star Wars. She lost the will to live. It's just that's what it is. It's like we have all
like
this
like
technology and she just like gives up on life.
in Final Fantasy's case, like if they would have just like if Sephiroth would have just like cut her in half, then I go, okay, yeah, it makes sense. You can't bring her back because she's literally in two pieces, right?
Right.
Like where you can have Barrett and fucking Cloud trying to hold the two pieces, like line them up, like oh shit, line up her spine just right before you hit her with the Phoenix down, right?
Right.
So that would make sense. But like just like a knife wound, you go, yeah, I think she could survive that. I think that's not. We just kind of let her die. Right. So you just kind of like sometimes you just kind of like gotta close your eyes and pretend like you didn't see that. Like I'm gonna pretend like I'm the guy from Hogan's Heroes. I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. I don't know nothing.
Yeah,
Just play the game.
I've talked to people before about this as well, where it's like if you question the plot too much, that ruins the story. So like if you don't like you go like yeah if don't think about it too much, dude. That's like the whole saying. Where it's like if you don't overanalyze it, you'll enjoy it more. That was like the biggest issue I had with a game like The Last of Us 2, for example, where I've said this before, but Red Letter Media like really came up with a really good way to summarize this, and I love it. And they're like, "Why are people acting retarded?" And they're like, "Oh, they have to be retarded, otherwise the story doesn't go anywhere." Because if everyone was just doing like the rational thinking of like, well, why are we doing this stupid thing? Well, then the story would not advance. They would just sit in this room and do nothing. But they have to have something stupid happen in this story or something like major to happen, like you say with Aerith like dying, and it's like, well, I can bring her back because I have Phoenix Downs and stuff, and it's like, well, yeah, just this needs to happen, otherwise the story we're trying to tell doesn't exactly work in the way that you kind of explain it.
Well, some of it is bad writing. That's the problem, right? It's hard to separate bad writing from plot convenience, right? So like you said, there's certain things has to happen. Frodo has to agree to go on this journey in order for the movie to start, right? Like you go, no rational person would do this. Why would Frodo? Like he has to because that's the movie, right? So there is a level of plot convenience, but then there's also a level of like, yeah, that makes no rational sense. Like even in the context of this story that we're telling,
Right.
you force the character to do something that's either out of character or makes no sense for that world for him to be doing, right? So that's bad writing. There is bad writing. Now me, I am 20 plus years well, I'm 44 now, so what shit? It's got to be 26 years. 26 years of since I was 18. I did media analysis and criticism for various websites, online men's magazines, things like that. Right, paid gigs, not just hey, I started up a blog and put my own stuff on there. No, it's being paid, right, to do this part time. And so I've seen a lot of things, and I can recognize when something has to be done for the plot, and I can recognize when something is bad writing. And I'm saying that to say this, that even though it might be dumb or they're acting retarded, I can separate that from my enjoyment, right? I have a video on my channel where I talk about how it's okay to enjoy trash, right? Mm-hmm. Literally, there's a Melissa McCarthy movie. I think it's like something Thunder or something, right? I forget what that was called. But it's like where she's a superhero, her and like a fat black chick, they become superheroes, right? And it is the worst. It's the biggest abomination I've ever seen. It is horrible. Right. But I enjoy the shit out of it because it's so bad, right? And it's good. And I watched it with my kid, and we were laughing at just the ridiculous nature of everything, right? At one point, Melissa McCarthy is trying to explain who Urkel is to her friend, and the friend's like, "Well, who's Urkel?" And she's like, "Did I do that? Did I do that? Come on, did I do that?" Like she's like, and it goes on for forever. Like the joke goes on way too long, but it is so ridiculous and so stupid that I find it funny, right? But it is a crappy movie. Like I would never go, "Oh, this is a great movie." I just go, I enjoy it, knowing that it's garbage. It's like eating McDonald's. I know that it's not nutritious. I know it's not good for me, but I enjoy it, right? And a lot of people need to be able to say that. And I think that that's the problem with a lot of these critics, quote unquote, online, right? They can't separate these two ideas, right? That you can enjoy something that's bad, right? That something can be enjoyable but also bad, right? They can't reconcile this in their brain, right? They go, no, if it's bad, you can't enjoy it. Why are you enjoying this Star Wars? It's bad. It's woke. Like I can enjoy things even if they're woke, even if they go, hey, I hate you Mexicans who live in America and who voted for Donald Trump. I go, yeah, but what's the rest of the story about? Is it okay? Because I'll still watch it if it's good, right?
Yeah, it's the old saying of it's like the old saying of separate the art from the artist. It's more so like I don't really need to know what like
Thunder Force is the movie. TJ in the chat, shout out. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you. There's DJ. But yeah, like you said, it's like a lot of these things that like were drummed up to me where it's like oh, can you believe that this dev says he hates you? It's like they'll joke, they hate us, they want us dead. I started to fall for that for a while, but it's kind of like you said, it's like, well, they have the right to voice their opinions, like we can see this online. We had these people that are going up to these game developers and they're going on Twitter saying all this vile shit about their games, about their personal lives, how like, they're all pedophiles and groomers and, all this other crazy shit. And it's like, do you wonder why some of them would just like snap or have like a different opinion from you because of all this shit they see like coming back, and it's like.
But here's the worst part about it, Carl. Here's the worst part. They are 100% hypocritical when it comes to that, because if a left-wing liberal, however you want to phrase it, right, one of those people on that side, right, if they snap and they go, "Fuck you, Carl! Don't buy our game. You don't support my politics, or you're anti-abortion. Don't buy my game. I hate you." Right?
Right.
They will all throw a shit fit. They will all go, "Oh my God, this person is the most horrible person ever, and they hate us. Don't buy this game." Right?
Right.
Now, on the flip side, if one of the right-wing people say that, they go, "Oh, you're pro-life. Well, we hate pro-lifers, and if you don't agree with our abortion stance, then don't buy our game."
Oh yeah.
They will clap that guy. They'll go, "Yeah, That guy, he put that idiot in his place. He owned him.
Stunning
Owned
and
on
brave.
Twitter.
Stunning and
BTFO'd.
brave.
I've seen it. I've seen it with. That's exactly one of the reasons why Eric July gets a lot of shit online, because he literally did the exact same thing with critics. Right? He attacked them. He told them that they were idiots. He quote unquote monetized his haters when
Mm-hmm.
haters were just people criticizing his comic.
Right.
But they were all, instead of them going, "Hey, Eric, that's that we don't do that, right? No, we don't do that around here. We don't attack critics. That's what lefties do. That's what crazy SJWs do. Instead of doing that, all his buddies went, "Yeah, Eric, fuck yeah, go get him, Eric. DTFO'd, bud."
Oh, I see
So,
that all the time with a lot of people because I'm notoriously blocked by a lot of these people online because I always say like, look, you guys sit in front of a fucking camera, you record yourself spurging and tweaking out about like anything, anyone's opinion. But as soon as anyone comes back at you on Twitter and go like, what you said is wrong and this is why, or what don't you think you're a little hypocritical or you're doing something crazy, they fucking freak out just like any one of these leftists. They feign like, oh, they get like the whole Southern Belle thing, like, oh, lordy, they're attacking me. Can you
I got
believe
some of the
this?
vapors.
I got the vapors. Oh my god! Or they like they outright block
They're
you.
canceling me.
Yeah,
They'll just say they're trying to cancel me. No, no, John De La Rose, we're not canceling you. We're just calling you retarded for saying very stupid things. John De La Rose, if you don't know,
oh,
this
I'm
guy
blocked
is
by him.
so
Don't worry.
fucking retarded, Carl. He's so retarded, okay, that he wrote an article saying that Disney was trying to push a trans agenda because in X-Men '97, Storm wore a suit
Yeah, I am well familiar with.
and had a mohawk.
I'm well familiar with John Delarose. I'm actually blocked by him on Twitter because I said to him, I think I think I said to him, I was like, you're a fake Christian, you're a fake gamer, you're a fake writer, you're just a fucking hermit crab trying to fit in with any person you can to
He's
just
also a
squeeze.
fake woman. He has a female
Yes,
identity.
yes, I know about that. That's even the more funny shit. Like I think he forgot to log out of his burner account one time too, and that's how they found out about it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And then the woman he uses, so he calls himself Daniel Sarah
mhm.
on in order to like sell a romance novel or something. But the woman's picture that he uses, she actually is a real person who came out and goes, "Stop using my picture. That's not me. Who the hell are you? Why are you using my image to promote your books?"
Yeah, and I like
And then he blocked her and called her. He goes, "She's trying to get me canceled," and he blocked her.
yeah, like I said, these people are all fucking weird. Like the enemy of my enemy is also fucking retarded, is what I like to say. And these people are just all
Yeah.
retarded. At the end of the day, it's just like you listen to them talk and you just realize there's nothing there anymore. It's just say the line. Everything is kind of just become just like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. It's like these people have taken the same formula they used to bitch about, and now they just brought it over to YouTube. Like you said, that now they want to hang out with Piers Morgan and all these other people like Ben Shapiro and everything else like that as well.
Yeah. Same side of the shitty coin, right?
Yes,
Uh,
the old saying.
if you look
Go on.
if you listen to these guys, if you they have no, like I said, they're not media literate. They don't understand anything. Their reviews are super shallow. Like 90% of their review is they hate you, it's woke, blah blah blah, and then like, oh, here's what happened in the movie. So it's not even a review. It's like they hate you plus a summary of the movie, right? That's what they qualify as a review these days, right? They don't watch any of their movie reviews. They don't talk about the technical analysis of the camera shots, angles. They don't talk about any of the lighting or the music cues, or they don't talk about the sound design or the sets. They don't talk about any of that. They don't talk about the actual plot and theme. Theme is a word that I don't think any of these guys ever fucking use. Hey, did you see this new movie? The theme of Superman is. No, they just go, Superman did this, and then he did this, and then Superman did that, and then that happened, and then this happened, and then the movie ended. Right? They don't actually, it's just a summary. It's a Wikipedia article in fucking video form.
Right. Yeah, you're 100% right. And another thing too is there's no soul in a lot of these things, like you said. There's no passion, there's no joy. These people don't talk about anything that like really should stand out. It's just like, and this is why this is sucks. And Mark Hamill, he's a piece of shit because of other things. This is me on Twitter saying Mark is terrible. Now let's go back to the other thing. Here's edited point insert. That's the end of the day. You know, it like you said, there's no real substance to this review. It's kind of like why I look at people like ACG is the only person I like to listen to video game reviews from, because he does all the things that he says. Like, I'm going to break down this game and how it sounds, how it runs on, these graphics cards, this internal system on console, story and everything else like that, while he still does all like the witty jokes and stuff like that as well too.
Well, that takes time. It takes time and effort, and when you're producing 4 or 5 slop videos a day, you can't do all that.
No, of course not. It's just you read an article and go, I'm offended. And then it's like next video is like, read article, I'm offended. Read article, I'm offended. How are these people any different from the snowflakes? That's what it comes down to at the end of the day, correct?
They are 100% snowflakes, just like I said on the other side. They're right-wing snowflakes.
Right.
And they cover for each other so much. If you point out this person did this or this, why are you trying to cancel John De La Rose, or why are you upset that Eric July campaigned for Obama? Well, you just pointed out that this guy campaigned for Obama, or this guy's an Obama supporter. So wouldn't it be fair to point out that Eric is like, you tried to cancel James Gunn for some tweet he made 10 years ago, but you're mad at me for pointing out a tweet that you made 5 days ago.
I also do think it's kind of funny. I point this out to people. It's like, if everything, because if you remember back in the day, all these people would be like, well, James Gunn's going to save the MCU. He's the guy that's going to take over after Endgame and so on and so forth. And then they got him fired because that was right wingers who mostly got him fired. Mike Cernovich, I think, in particular, was like the big one. So, yeah. Oh, there's my dogs. So I do think it's kind of funny that if you really want to go back around to it, it's like, well, if you think about it, 1 second, my dogs.
Carl's dog is telling him that's it. He's like, that's the hook. That's the old Gong Show. They're like, get him off stage. That's it. Tony's gone off the reservation too much. His dog is anti-woke. His dog listens to the quartering. That puts him to sleep at night.
But to finish my point, is like the right wingers. You could make a funny joke saying, "Well, the right wingers ruined the MCU when they got James Gunn fired and fucked up the whole plan."
They really did.
But yeah,
the MCU. I can go on forever and talk about, like, we do another like 45 minutes to an hour with my MCU take. But I will just say this: the original actors were getting old, and eventually they had to be replaced, guys. Let's get over it.
Exactly. And Tony, I thank you for coming on. I know you got another show, so we're going to start winding this down. I really did appreciate you coming on. I had a hell of a time. I would love to kind of get you back on for something else at a later date, but man, this was fun. We could have went for another 2-3 hours. I feel like it still had more to talk about.
Oh yeah, definitely. We could have gone for, like I said, all night. We barely scratched the surface, for what we did here. Felt more like a conversation. Felt more like we were just hanging out than being interviewed, which is always good. Like I said, there's so much that we could have covered. So many things that I've done and seen and said and fought with. If you ever want to have me back for a part 2, a follow-up, or just to come and give my 2 cents on some other subject, hit me up. Just hit me up on Twitter or on a YouTube comment, or you got my Discord, because that's what we're talking through, Discord.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I said Discord like that. It was really weird. I emphasized Discord in a really weird manner, and I apologize.
Right. And I will look forward to listening to your show. Like I said, I try to listen to it live, but usually it doesn't work out.
That makes one of us. I never listen to my show. Terrible. I hate my voice, and we're never on topic.
Oh yeah, trust me, I know the feeling all too well. I hear my voice and go, "Oh God, kill it with fire." But everyone, Tony has a show on after this. If you'd like to give it a plug and kind of give yourself a good outro before we close this show off, would you?
Yeah, all right. So I will be on my main channel, that is Frog Tony, here on YouTube. We're going to be every Saturday. We do what's called Gabbing with Geeks. It's a tradition on my channel. And that show is mostly drama free. I want to say like 99% drama free. We don't talk politics. We don't talk drama. We don't attack other creators. That's not what that show for. That show is for us to talk about video games, movies, entertainment, nerd topics, and to really get into the nitty gritty and discuss. Hey, did you see this trailer for this game? Or hey, did you hear about this new movie coming out? Or hey, we all watched Superman and let's review and give our thoughts on Superman. We don't always agree. We don't always disagree, but we do have a good discussion. We always have fun. Plus, we brought back, Carl, I don't know if you know about this, but we brought back Celebrity Butt Challenge. That is an exclusive little bit of trivia that we do on the show where I show you a butt, and you have to guess what celebrity that butt belongs to.
Yeah, I saw that. It makes me laugh. You didn't have one last week, right? No one showed up for the game?
Now, yeah, so we had some issues with TJ and Finbar being unavailable, the regular panelist, and then the audience. I went, hey guys, anyone from the audience want to come on? And we have a lot of people that like to listen, that like to lurk, but don't want to click that link and get on panel for whatever reason. I guess they don't want to be seen with me. They'll listen to me, but being seen in public with me is it's a little too much. I get that.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in so bad after I was listening to I forget his name off the top of my head, but he was talking about Xbox. I'm like, I want to get on this argument, damn it. I missed this one.
Potion. That was Potion Soda Run.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, but he was like giving away. I'm like, no, you gotta explain this better. Come on. I get so passionate. That's what it was too. That show last week really made me really more excited to have you on, and I'm glad I did. Link to his channel is linked into this YouTube, so you can click it. It'll take you directly there. And in the description, not the subscription, of this episode is links to his video game, comic, and merch shop as well too. So if you want to go subscribe to him on the multiple channels, sorry, that he has, please go do so right now after this video. And thank you again.
We didn't even discuss that I'm working on a comic book. How did I, guys, I know Finbar's in the chat. He'll kill me if I don't at least plug at the end. By the way, we're working on our very own comic. It has been described by people who have read it, the script. People who have read the script have described it as a combination of Golden Age Spider-Man and Shazam, old school Shazam. Billy Batson meets Peter Parker, somehow merged into Freddie Foster, the fabulous Frogman. Coming soon. It should be out for pre-order this year. So we have some merch for it. That's the image that he used for the thumbnail. And there's some cups, shirts, stickers and stuff in the shop, along with some other stuff in the shop, which you may or may not jive with. Some of it is aimed at some of our enemies. Some of it is just funny little meme stuff. And some of it is a little cutesy. We have some cutesy stuff for the ladies.
Yes, and also go listen to the show and learn about the great hero known as Sturgis, and figure out what happened with the missing link with that guy. That guy is so fucking weird, man. That could be a whole hour I could just get into about that weird lore too as well, because he's also involved in my universe way too much.
That guy Sturgis is he's something else. Him and Homeless Larry are definitely
Yeah, all right, we got to end the show. We're going to be here for another hour just getting into it. But everyone, thank you again, Mr. Tony. It was awesome. Like I said, please go subscribe to his channel. Join in for his show coming up in the next half an hour, correct?
Yeah, it'll be at 8:05 Central.
Yes, and so in the next half hour, go there. Give him some support. Everyone, I would like to say thank you. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. Small sacrifice to the algorithm god helps this channel grow, and we really do appreciate that as well. We will be back on Monday with our friend Mr. Seth the Dragon, and we're going to be talking about Resident Evil, the franchise, in an episode of Toxic Nostalgia. So if you want to stop by, listen to our favorite memories about Resident Evil series from past, present, and future, please. We are talking about games. I know it's a rare, novel concept to have a video game show talking about video games nowadays. So please join us next Monday. That will be at
I wish I could join you because Resident Evil 2, I played that game, and then I had a ghost in my house.
I got to hear this story
No.
one day. This is what it is. I got to hear about this because I also have a video game ghost story that I like to share too. Oh, Jesus Christ, Tony, you're
Guys,
awesome, man. This was too fun.
it was a great show, and I look forward to coming back. And like I said, we'll be live tonight. We'll be playing the game if you want to hop on. And if at any point you're looking to hop on, just hit me up because you're a cool guy. You seem like a stable individual, stable genius, if you will. So if you hit me up on Twitter, say, hey, you guys are talking Xbox or you guys are talking whatever. I want to jump in on this conversation. I will definitely send you the link, and you can hop on over and join us.
Oh, awesome. I do really appreciate that, Tony. I'm trying to be more active when listening to your stuff. Like I said, I will probably not do that tonight because the missus wants to do something. But maybe next time. I am happy that you
Put a little
extended that
NyQuil
offer.
in her drink, just a little. When she's not looking, just right in her Coke. Put her right to sleep.
All right, everyone, go follow this man. He is a gem. Everyone, have yourself a great